I'm Eliza Bokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
Today we have the lovely Candace Strother.
Strother.
I should ask you that beforehand. I don't think I was your last name.
Right.
Strother of QueenLYFE.
QueenLYFE.
Where life
in
means
the house.
love
Yes.
yourself first
Queen.
every day. Yes.
Love yourself first every day, okay?
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
you.
Yeah, I love that.
It's
It
gonna
was
be.
from my heart.
I feel it. That's why whenever I hear it, I'm like, yes.
I need it.
That's how I
Some
feel.
self-love in my life.
We all do. Yes.
It's amazing, and you've been doing some amazing things around Houston.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch you. I met you randomly from my friend.
We sure did. At brunch.
Yes, at brunch. She was like, my friend's coming from the Leadership Institute or whatever. And I
Wow,
was like,
talk
okay.
about connections.
Right. And then how'd y'all
Yes.
meet?
Following each other on social media, and we tried to connect for a year.
It's been a year.
A year.
And we were like, girl, I got to reschedule.
This
came
time
up.
last year.
Yep, you're
Because
right.
you had reached out, and the event you had gone to was like, oh, there's this great event going on. I was like, man, I'm going out of town this weekend.
Yeah, I wanted you to be a panelist.
Yes, that was last June, and we finally. She's like, wait a minute.
It was here.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm like, what are we talking about? What? Got it.
And we finally met in person like
What, like 2 months ago?
2 months ago. Like we had stayed in
But
contact.
you did my friend on social media.
I know. I
Felt
told
that kindred connection.
Yes, and it was like, okay, we finally got to
That's
be in
so
person.
funny. I know we had talked about having her on the show, but I thought y'all had met each other. I was like, oh, that's cool that you know her as well.
Yeah, it
Well, I
took
feel
us
like
a year.
we knew each other when we met.
Yeah.
We sat down and like
Mhm.
ate and we just talked and vibed. It was
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, we only saw each other in person for the first time 2 months ago.
But it
But
felt like y'all were
we
old.
were connected.
definitely connected.
We were connected, yes.
That's awesome. So today we're going to talk about QueenLYFE, of course, but then we're also going to talk about the message behind Love Yourself First Every Day, the events you have going on, and how you are working to help people with their self-esteem, their self-love, and learning more about what they can do to better themselves all around.
Mhm.
Because you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Doing a lot.
And you're a real mental health advocate also.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
you are
girl.
always pushing the importance of
Because I
mental
see the effects firsthand.
Yeah. It's like, I know what happens if you don't get help.
This
Yes.
is what happened when you do not seek help and talk to your friends and isolate yourself. Yes.
This is true.
So I'm an advocate all day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We have next week. We have our LGBTQ
Webinar. Justin is going to be leading this
Presenting.
webinar. Mm-hmm.
And so it's up, right? It's ready, or maybe
Well, just that last piece that you had.
Okay.
Yes.
we'll post it in the comments after this. I have one thing I have to do, and then we'll post it in there so y'all can go ahead and join and come see Justin present on the intersection between
Culture and sexuality. So
sexuality.
when culture and sexuality intersect in the therapy room, and it's really going to be a great learning experience for, as clinicians, like how are we able to meet our clients to best be able to integrate all of that.
And it's going to be just an intro. We're going to have so much more regarding this topic, but Justin's kind of giving you an overview of how to handle these situations and when it does come up.
Because it is Pride Month, and we still have the promo with the shirts we wore last week. So yeah, lots of great stuff going on.
Lots of good things going on. We're going to go ahead and get into this, and then we'll...
Yeah, because y'all got some stuff going on this weekend, too.
Yes,
Saturday.
Yes,
this Saturday. We'll talk about that at the end. Lisa did it last month, right?
Yes, it was has it already been a month?
A month.
Jeez.
Not like that.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay,
This is why I'm like, we'll go down.
Go down. All right, so we're going to start with, Candace, tell us just a little bit about what QueenLYFE is, or how did you even get started with QueenLYFE?
Absolutely. So QueenLYFE is a self-love movement. We're dedicated to enhancing the overall well-being of women of all ages, right? So we do that through our programming, and our 5 core components are financial literacy, healthy relationships, civic engagement, creative expression, and mentorship. And it's a movement.
Yeah.
This is about you really loving and accepting yourself and really being authentic in that and living your truth.
Well, and what I love about these 5 components is you're really giving women the tools
Right.
to, because I think a lot of times, we've talked about this before, you hear self-love,
Right.
and so much of it is us being able to have access to the resources that we need
Right.
to live our best life.
Or
Absolutely.
some resources that you don't know you need.
Mhm.
I feel like some of your events are like, oh, I probably should go to that. Like, something I never would have thought about or anything like that, especially like the home buying. Like, I'm not even thinking about buying a house, but I'm always like, okay, whenever I decide, I gotta go to Candace.
You have to know
Yeah, have the
before you're
information.
actually ready,
Mhm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And self-care it's been a lot of just throwing around the cliche of it. Ooh,
Right.
self-care, girl.
Right.
It's more than getting your hair done, your
Mhm.
nails done. It's really taking care of that inner need, that inner space. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, and what, when I first met her, I was like, my self-care needs to be worked on around the financial part.
That's right.
So
And
get
I'm
your
glad
budget
that you
life.
were aware of that, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And understanding that does still constitute self-care.
Absolutely.
Because as much as you probably help others towards self-care and to live a healthier lifestyle, healthy mental health, but are you really taking care of yourself? And sometimes we are so busy doing so many things for
Yeah.
other people, we fall by the wayside.
Oh,
Right.
for sure.
You know.
Right.
For
So
sure.
there are certain areas that we may be good at, but there are other areas that we still struggle with because we're
Totally.
giving so much to others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's why you need good friends to tell you, girl, slow down, boo. You ain't got to be everywhere doing everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
Are you really setting time aside for yourself?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
What does that look like?
I just thought of a way that you can support a friend in self-care. And let me say, this works for me. When I need to clean, I do it when my friends are around. So if my friends are like just hanging out at my house, I get up and I start cleaning while we're talking. It just makes it easier for me to do it as opposed to I'm sitting at my house by myself and like, oh, I know I need to clean the kitchen, I need to clean the kitchen, I need to clean the kitchen. So that's one way I think
So
that.
party at Ebony's.
Right, like seriously.
Game night.
Right. If you come hang out, you're going to see me like wiping down counters, washing dishes, just because it makes it easy. Even in
It's
my
a
room, I'll be like, come
distraction.
on, let's go hang out in my room today because I need to clean up and it's good to have somebody there while I clean up. Like, seriously, it's a distraction.
I thought you were going to say, because I have my friends help me out.
They don't have to help. Just being there helps me though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe some people might need your help to actually clean. But I'm
Like me
saying
over,
for
I
me.
already know what time it is.
Right.
Yeah,
I actually
yeah.
need you to sit there with a glass of wine and talk to me while I clean. Like seriously,
Okay.
that's all I need.
It's a distraction. Like I
Yes.
said, it's kind of like watching TV while you're doing it, but you're engaged with others. Okay.
Mhm. It works for me. I don't know if
Awareness.
it works for anybody else. Maybe just tell them to come
Try
help you
that.
clean. Yeah. Anyway, that was random. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the nonprofit side of QueenLYFE.
Yeah, so we have programming and like we're doing the mental wellness walk on Saturday, but the nonprofit is really helping people with life tools, right? So one of the programs, Life Class, that's our financial literacy component, and we had a big focus on home ownership this year, and I really believe that home ownership is a tool to build wealth. It can be if you have the right tools in obtaining your home and maintaining your mortgage and budgeting. So for me, I was in finance for 15 years, right? So that's why I felt like within QueenLYFE, if I'm going to help people, I need to add a financial literacy component because I saw so many people that were like clueless when it came to credit, budgeting, or just maintaining for their livelihood. So it was a need, you know?
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the programs that I feel like are helping so many people. Another program is Project Mona Lisa, and that's my baby.
Yeah.
So Project Mona Lisa, if you're familiar, of course you're familiar with the Mona Lisa painting.
Right.
There was attempts of vandalism, but despite those attempts, it never decreased in its value. So how we translate that into our self-worth, no matter what adversities we've gone through, the pain, the trauma, that doesn't decrease who we are and our value.
Right.
So I developed
I
a
love that.
six. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is
Like
awesome.
they tried it. Right.
But it does
They
not-
tried it.
But still I rise.
Right.
Yes.
I'm still
Yes.
me.
So
Still worthy.
Right, so I created a 6-week program that we're going to pilot in October. Yes, Prep. So I'm super excited about that. Anybody
That's
wants more
fantastic.
information or wants to incorporate Project Mona Lisa in their school, make sure you contact me.
That's
fantastic. I love that.
Congratulations on that.
Appreciate that.
So what life events happened that led you to QueenLYFE?
Girl.
Everybody else
Don't
goes.
say it in blue.
She's like, I need something so I'm gonna create it.
Listen, oh my God. So like I said, I worked in finance, and I have a marketing degree, so I had all these dreams of like, oh girl, I'm about to work for BET, MTV, do product placement, branding. But when I graduated, I was hired by a bank, and that was like the only job offer I had out of so many applications.
You were like, this isn't as sexy
like,
as I
I graduate for this.
Right.
But I'm blessed to have that experience because it taught me about financial literacy. So fast forward, really applied to several jobs, couldn't get out of that industry, was feeling like I wasn't tapping into my purpose. And I watched my dad suffer from depression. Just brilliant person, very smart, very intelligent, but couldn't quite find his purpose in life. And I saw the effects that played on him.
Right.
So I felt myself going through that same cycle, and I knew that if I didn't create something that would lift me out of that cycle of depression, it would just evolve into something worse.
Right.
So QueenLYFE was my reconnection to myself and my worth, and me knowing that I needed more self-love and more self-acceptance. So that's what has helped me. And I'm still dealing, bouts of depression, being an entrepreneur.
Love.
Feel like you gotta save the world. Am I doing enough?
By
Am I doing the
yourself
right
sometimes?
things? By yourself. So it's still for me having to reflect on what it means and the why that I created it.
Remembering the why, I think.
Remember your why. And sometimes you have to have different whys.
Exactly.
For different seasons in your life.
I was going to say, whys evolve.
They totally
Right.
They do.
And they sometimes, the why may be there, but how we accomplish the why, we might have a vision of what we think that why is gonna, we're gonna achieve that why, or not achieve the why, but what's driving us and what we're trying to create may then look differently. Maybe the why stays the same, but it's like, oh, like you said, I thought it was gonna be sexy, I was gonna be a BT,
right.
And then it's like,
I'm kind of cute up
right,
here.
right.
Somebody's award shower.
Right. But the way that you were led to the work that you're doing now, the why is still there.
It's still there, but whole different path. QueenLYFE has evolved even from when I first sat down and journaled the vision. And you have different people that give you input, or you should do this, you should do that. How about do this? But at the end of the day, you have to stay true to your vision.
Right.
Yeah.
If they want to enhance it and help you get there, great. But don't give in to you should do this and switch this whole thing up.
Right.
Stay true to why you're doing this.
Right. So I'm curious a little bit about, for you struggling with depression and choosing to create this organization that is about self-love and getting yourself out of that. How you mentioned like entrepreneurship and how that can be a whole other monster in itself. So for you, how is it, knowing that you're working on this project, but then being an entrepreneur and having those moods and just things affecting you and the stress, how have you been able to kind of balance, like, okay, my persona is self-love, but sometimes it ain't there.
It ain't very loving.
It ain't.
And I really have to balance and ground myself because you deal with so many insecurities.
Yes.
And being an entrepreneur, like, is this good enough? What do people think? Am I letting these people down?
Yes.
So it's so much added pressure.
Right.
That it's a deeper depression. When you go through your moments of like feeling down, you really go through them.
Right.
Yes.
People think entrepreneurship, oh, you're free. But it's a cost for everything.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But what are you willing to do to balance, and have to be mindful? Okay, I need to disconnect. I need to go to a spa.
Yeah.
I need to take a trip and just be at peace, completely turn my phone off.
Yeah.
Call somebody if I have to cry it out.
Yeah.
I never cried this much in my life.
I'm so glad, but that's what I was going to say. It's like, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because it is true, entrepreneurship. And I think you have a certain type of personality to be even an entrepreneur. We have a certain type of personality where we set those goals to be something, and so it's not always pretty.
Oh, it's not.
And I love that because someone that might see you and like, that's the queen.
She's going out of town.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all don't even know. You be at home like, oh Lord, help. You just have to trust. Because it's so many things that you don't know. Like, you don't know how everything's going to play out. You just hope for the best.
Yes.
That's the thing about it. You don't know. The possibilities, yes, they're great. But, the behind the scenes of what keeps you going. And you're like, oh, damn, okay, well, we got to keep going. We got to keep going.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
And a lot of your relationships shift.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
And friendships that you've had for years, you're like, wow, I didn't really think that we would be in this space. But because you're evolving and you're having to dedicate more time to the business, you don't have time for everything. And sometimes you're just disconnected. You're in your own space that you're like, oh, I really want to be there, but I don't have it in me right now.
I don't have it in me. And yes, you do get that pushback. And it's like, well, you're too busy. It's like,
you change.
Like, damn.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
You liked me when I was sad.
Right.
At
right.
work.
Right.
And didn't have a vision. We were cool.
Right.
But once you really start to accept yourself and come into yourself more, things change.
They really,
and you
really
have to
do.
accept that.
Right.
They really
And
do.
when you want to make a bigger impact on the world, sometimes you get, I don't want to say lost in that, but I'm trying to do something bigger than what I'm currently doing. So that means I have to do things a lot different than what I've been doing them. And sometimes it's difficult for people to understand that.
Because they take it personal.
Yeah.
They do.
It's like, oh, well, didn't tell you about it because you're too busy now, and I'm like,
right.
like that feels real personal, right?
Like
jab.
My busyness was, something
towards you.
Right,
yeah.
And I'm like, wow, and I think especially when you do the type of work like you do where you're outputting
a lot.
And then at the end of the day you're just like, I don't even have the bandwidth to output, but in a way that's not even like work related, what I mean, where it might just be like a fun phone call with a friend, but you're like, I'm spent.
Right.
That's true. And as an entrepreneur, like, you have losses, you have wins, and it's important to count all the wins. Don't focus on this didn't go right. Like, what went right?
Yeah.
Balance it, because it goes up and down.
Oh yes,
it's life.
Yeah,
it's life.
100%. And even when you reach certain success, that does not mean that those issues are going to stop. So last week we just saw two very clear examples of you can get to the pinnacle or whatever the case may be of what other people may deem as success and still struggle. And so it's how does your mission and the goal of QueenLYFE, how is that helping people that may still, even once they get to this certain level, just understanding that doesn't mean just because I have prestige, I have money, I have all these things, doesn't mean that I'm able to kind of let go of my own self-love because now I'm getting it from other people. You still have to have that.
I think they are able to understand it's a constant reminder and it's constant work that you have to do to really love who you are. Money doesn't erase your trauma and your deep-rooted pain that could be really passed on from your dad, your grandmother, her mother. And that's the things that I'm dealing with. Like, there was pain that was never resolved amongst these people who are no longer here. And the awareness is for me to really deal with it now. Because I got to break these chains. I got to break the cycle of depression, of not feeling good enough, not feeling like, oh my God, like I'm not tapping into my purpose. My life is wasting away. But it's ongoing. You don't get that money, you don't get that $1 million, 6-figure, whatever, and feel like everything is perfect.
Right.
Because then it's more money, more problems.
Exactly.
Well, and I think that's part of what leads to kind of what you said earlier, the deeper depression, is because we, as much as we hear it, we still have in our minds, once I reach a certain level of success, it's going to be good.
Right.
And what you hear a lot of times is people reach that and there's still this emptiness. And then it's like, oh, well then if this wasn't going to fill that emptiness, what now? Right? And so much of that goes back to what you're talking about, is the ongoing nurturing of self that is not contingent about on what's outside of us.
Absolutely. And QueenLYFE builds community because we're all connected. So when you suffer, I feel it.
Right.
So when we come together and support and not jealousy, not tearing each other down, it really allows all of us to feel a different type of peace.
Absolutely. Really empowering one another.
Yeah, in the real way. Not like women empowerment, you're
Right.
my sister. No, but I really like you.
Right.
Like, I rock for you. Y'all gonna bring my gangsta out. Shout out to Park Hill, Denver, Colorado.
That is
yes.
I really like you. Like, I really like your energy I really
Right.
want you offer to the world.
Right.
You know,
That
and it doesn't,
connection
and
is
it
there.
doesn't take away from who I am.
Right.
Like,
I like
I
how
love-
I feel when I'm around
Right,
you. That's what people
right.
want to know. Like, how do I feel when I'm around you?
How do I feel when I'm around you?
Yeah,
'Cause
and
if I
you
feel
can't
way
fake that.
down. It's
Mhm.
like,
Like
some
that.
energies just don't connect.
Right.
Definitely.
And it's okay.
There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with that.
It's
Right.
okay, but the awareness is important because
Mhm.
it's not you all the time.
Yes.
You walk into a room and you're like, I feel really awkward
Yeah.
and weird.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily you.
Right. Right.
So just be introspective, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's so. While you're talking about that, I want to ask Elisa about your experience with the mental health walk, because I do feel like there are organizations where I have went to an event. It's supposed to be like a community, or it's supposed to be, you know, like I've joined the organization and it's like, oh, it's a new members event. We're gonna have everybody there, and I walk in and nobody talks to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an introvert,
Like,
so I'm just gonna sit here and
Exactly.
order my drink and then I'm gonna leave.
Right.
But all these people that
Networking.
are, right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you have cultivated it to be different, and then I was just curious about your experience with it as well.
Well, QueenLYFE is a different experience within itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's an honest experience. So I encourage people, like, get to know someone you don't know. Because I'm an introvert. I'm shy. Like, I'm an only child. I could really be by myself and be cool. Like, oh, you good? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be over here.
Right.
But I have to, you know, grow above that and
Of course.
evolve, you know, because we're a community.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know, like, that connection you made, whether it's business or professional or personal, like what that can evolve to by you just being yourself and showing up.
Absolutely. And the event, I think, is so much the way that you lead. Because the women are very welcoming. And like that was one of the things that struck me that day was it's your leadership, I think, also that really sets the tone for, you know, that encouragement of like talk to someone else, and because your sincerity comes through with that. So I think a big part of that is whatever organization it is, what is the leadership, how is the leadership leading, not just in these are our missions, this is our mission statement on our website, but how do I lead when I'm there? And that was one thing that we talked about that day, because you're like, I'm actually like really introverted. I'm like, what?
If you really know me, like I'm not that person that's very outspoken amongst a group. Like I'm one-on-one connection, right? That's easy for me.
Me too. Yeah.
Like I'll be on stage like,
Right.
But I think it's important to just be yourself.
Yeah.
And show up, you know, and me putting myself out here with QueenLYFE, that's like what doesn't scare you is not going to allow you to grow.
Right.
Yes.
So I really want to grow.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think you made a good point with, you know, you do certain things that make you uncomfortable because you know it's better for you and better for the community.
Absolutely. It's beyond me.
Right. I think people don't think I'm an introvert because I do so much in front of the camera, podcasts, events, and I'm like, I do that because this is something that I want to be better at, and it's something I know that helps other people.
Yeah.
Not because it's my favorite thing to do.
What would I rather be doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to have a meeting in my house. Like, let's just do an online meeting real quick.
When she told me she was an introvert, I was like, what?
Right.
I'm like,
You?
she's like,
No.
girl, no, I'm you.
Look.
And I'm like,
And now
what?
you know, because I've been like, go talk to them. You got it.
You guys are
Right.
great. Not only-
No, yeah, we are.
But, you know, we could turn it on when we need to.
Exactly,
It's like,
exactly.
I could show up.
I've spoken at several places,
Yes.
and I'm fine with that, but it's not my favorite. You know,
Right.
like,
Is it natural? No.
no.
Not really.
And well, y'all are good at it then, because I feel like it's natural on like, because it doesn't feel forced. Like I said that day when you were talking, I'm like, wow, you have just such a presence about you and the way that you're leading. So then when you said that, I was like, you did that too. One of the times that you it was like when you did that impromptu at the not the APA, but that psychology conference.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
Like, hold up.
like you though.
Right. And probably 2 seconds before, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I don't even know. Oh my God. And then
What
you gotta
is-
do it when you gotta do it.
do it.
Well, I think that's part of the authenticity of what y'all believe in, though.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Like, so I think that's what facilitates you able to just like, I don't know what I just said, but you know, it's like, but I think that's how you know when somebody is authentic in what their intentions are, because if you are introverted, like y'all are really good at
It's a spiritual thing
Yeah.
too. You're like, okay, God, use me in the way that you desire me to be used.
yes.
For me personally.
Yes.
So, you know, When I can't show up, there's my source showing up.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen and it'll come out how it's supposed to. And I think that's I probably wouldn't use those words, but exactly what you said. Whatever's supposed to come out is going to come out.
Right.
And so I can prepare, I can do what I can, but sometimes when you put on the spot, you especially when you know your stuff, right? This is something I'm passionate about. This is something I care about. So I know that I can just...
And it may come out differently every time.
Exactly.
So what's QueenLYFE? Oh,
keeps it interesting. It'll keep it interesting.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's part of the evolution. Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your struggles as a woman entrepreneur, like mental health.
Which
struggles.
ones? Where you gonna start, girl?
Yeah.
Like, this is a
Let's
free
start the
session
list.
for me, y'all. Y'all want to come to
No,
my
we jumping in. This out of
therapy
session.
live session?
I got stuff to say.
So, you know what's crazy? Just up and down in your emotion. Like, okay, number one, am I doing this right? There's so many things that I didn't know that I didn't know. That was like, oh, I should have thought about that. Like, okay. And then one of the things that really took a toll on me was a hurricane. You know, like my family, they live in Port Arthur, and that area just kind of completely got wiped out, for lack of better words. And they lost cars, houses, family homes that have been in the family for like 40 years plus, 60 years actually. And just seeing my family go through so much devastation really took a toll on me, because here I am trying to figure it out. Like I just left my job, you know, and my job was cool. Like I really enjoyed my coworkers. My manager was really sweet, but I had to deal with that, the hurricane, and the loss of everybody's personal things, momentum items that just, it really affected me. It totally just put me in a deeper space of, okay, I really don't know what I'm doing. And now I can't necessarily financially support or help because I'm making sure that my bills are paid and mortgage and X, Y, and Z. So it put me in a lot of despair. You know, it was hard.
I didn't realize that was because you weren't, you left the...
I worked in finance until February of last year. So, you know, it was like 6 months later, and I'm still figuring things out. And then bam.
Wow. Right in the middle of all of that.
So like I'm just now coming back to normal a little bit. But you know, you just gotta hold tight, like don't give up. Just stay mindful of your why. And you know that everything life happens. And you just gotta roll with it. And it just shows you your resilience.
Right. And that you can be a support to other people without necessarily being a financial support. Because I feel like sometimes we go directly to finances.
Like, what can I do?
How can I pay for this? How can I help? As opposed to like, okay, I ain't got it, so what do you need from me now? And it teaches you that you have more value. Especially, I feel like sometimes in our culture, or not even want to say in our culture, but when you grow up a certain way and, you know, family struggles and things like that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get money and help them. I'm gonna get money and do this. But then when you don't have it, it's like, all right, so what else do you need? I ain't got the money. I can drive you where you need to go. I can come and help you clean up, or you know, like there are things
it created an opportunity because we created QueenLYFE Cares. So I raised funds, and we were able to help 10 families. We gave them gift cards, Target, Walmart, to kind of get toiletries, some of the cleaning supplies. We went there and cleaned up. So it was an opportunity, and you have to turn adversity into opportunity.
Right.
I love that.
So as you're dealing with the difficulties and dramas of being an entrepreneur, what do you do? What's your self-care routine to help you through it?
Get on the flight.
I
don't buy new clothes like that, no shoes. I like to travel. I love to see the world. I like to experience new places, eat different foods. Like that has been something that keeps me just on the up, and it gives me something to look forward to. Like, gosh, there's just so much in the world to see. So many different cultures, and that really excites me. I love live music. Excited about Let It See. I'm really geeked about the concert. But I love art, you know, live music, art, travel. And on a personal note, just being outside and like walking amongst nature. And that was really the catalyst behind the mental wellness walk, because it helped me. It gave me that zen. It gave me that moment to breathe, to walk, to get exercise, to really, you know, be mindful of my health and my wellness and clarity. So it created peace and balance for me.
Really feeding your soul with all of these activities. I like that you're saying that, because I think so often people get stuck in trying to figure out what type of activities are self-care.
Right.
And you're saying, I know what works for me.
Right. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can drive to Galveston, drive to Hill Country.
I'm in Galveston like
Every
every
other weekend. Every other weekend.
Yeah, just
At the beach. Wind blowing in my hair.
It needs to be. See, I keep saying like that's our beachfront view for now.
I can do that.
Yeah, because it's just, I know when I'm having like an extra, like just week, I'm like, I know me, I just go, I sit in front of the ocean. I don't even need to get in. But I just know once I go, I'm like, ooh, I just need to get in front of it and just release. Like that's what works for me.
Right.
Meditation too. No matter where you are, just being able to ground yourself. Think about your safe space and just use that as your model for grounding. Whether it's a beach, whether it's outdoors, your backyard.
Right.
So
yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. So we talked about why you felt like finance was such a big part of what needed to be a part of QueenLYFE. So how do you think financial literacy and mental health go together?
Oh, all day. Because when you're stressed about your finances, when you're stressed about how am I going to eat today?
Yes.
It's not even about how you're going to buy your new car or your house, but like just life things.
How am I going to pay for the rent?
Essential things that you need in life.
Yeah.
It doesn't add to a quality of life that you deserve.
Exactly.
So just me working in that space, I was able to see people really struggle, and it's not like they didn't make decent money, they just did not know how to manage it. And if you're taught how to mismanage your money, you got things in your name, your credit that were put on there before you were of age to get credit. It's not allowing you to really be successful in developing your credit. So you're having to repair, just like on an emotional level, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm having to repair some of the damage that was done before I even existed. So same thing with your finances, and you have to break that cycle of lack. Make the most of what you get. Balance. What are your priorities? Do you need this? Do you need that? Is it a want versus a need?
Right.
That's kind of what you just said. Like, I'm not gonna be the one buying the new clothes and the new shoes.
I love fashion.
Right.
All day.
But you're like, but my coins, my priority
absolutely.
are, I want to travel. I want to
travel. I wear the same QueenLYFE tees.
And you look good.
I got one every color.
Right. I was about to say.
That's how we are with our
If y'all see me at any speaking engagement, it's probably a Melanin mental health t-shirt and some jeans. Because that is what I do.
It's comfortable. It's me. It represents me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So being able to make finances a priority, as well as your mental health, because it does impact you and it does affect it.
It all works together.
Exactly.
Well, and I think what you do is so similar to what we do. It's like, what are the resources for it? How do we empower you to, if we know that it's okay, mental health is a priority and financial literacy is a priority, and now help me the how-to piece, which is what you do with your
Life class.
But even taking away the shame of the decisions you've probably made with financial, your finances in the past, and just saying like, look, it is what it is, and let's figure out how to get better.
And it's not your fault all the time. You're just not given the tools
to
make that decision.
The access. You're helping people have the access to this information.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's important.
That's a huge thing. Is access to information, but then the incorrect information we were taught growing up.
Right.
Like, there were certain decisions that our parents made for us that wasn't
I'm not gonna pay the whole bill. I'm just gonna put something towards it so the lights stay on.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's not. You get late fees.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay out the credit card. I'll just pay it all at once. But I know it's due. Well, you get late fees,
right?
And it's bad on your credit. But if you don't know those things,
right. Well, and we had that conversation about the emotional piece that goes with finances.
Absolutely.
That I think sometimes we have a lot of information, and then what you just mentioned, the shame, right? Like there's shame, or there's fear, and a lot of that has to do with whatever stuff we accumulated, be it growing up, being as an adult, or whatever messages we received around money.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting that all these topics tend to be so taboo, but so necessary.
Right.
And I think I'm proud of us for being the strong one. Not that everybody else wasn't strong.
Right.
They just had a different way of showing their strength, which was kind of covered up in most cases.
Yeah.
But we're the strong ones standing up for these things that we want to change.
Right.
Because we see the effects. We see how it's just not allowing anybody to rise above their environment, their community.
Right.
And I think that we've talked about before, when you are sort of the first person to try and do things differently, it's that much harder.
It is.
Because it hasn't been modeled for you, and what you keep saying is we're undoing a lot of stuff that has been passed on, and we're carrying pain and wounds, ours and in addition to whatever was passed on.
Ebony and I were talking about how pain and depression is in your DNA, especially if your parents suffered from it. And I think that's so true, because I feel it. Like, sometimes I'll be angry, like, why am I so mad?
Yes.
Unprocessed pain. Not only my pain, but the pain before,
And before.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was having that week this week.
I was like, why am I in such a
bad
mood?
I was telling Ebony this morning, I'm like, I am just in a bad
I'm over it. Don't nobody. It's one thing that can happen is going to set me off.
Right.
But we have to be able to just channel and just work through that.
Yes.
Knowing how to bring yourself down.
Bring yourself down. So that you get that beat in your mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
Some guided meditation. Right. Whatever you need.
Breath. Deep breath. 10 deep breaths.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite resource or book that you feel like will help others?
Super Soul Sunday.
I love
podcast.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the podcast is
easy.
great.
It's so I love it.
Okay.
I love the speakers. I love their insight. I think it makes you think. It gives you a different perspective. Brene Brown is one of my favorite speakers.
Right.
She's super dope.
Yeah.
Very much so.
She has she talks a lot about being vulnerable, and that's something that I've definitely struggled with and still working through, because I looked at it as a weakness.
Right. Most people do.
Right. But it's really being yourself. Like, if you ask me how I'm doing, I need to be honest with you.
Right.
Like, I hate today.
Yes.
Today's not a good
whack.
one.
Yes.
I wanted to say something else.
Right. You can say it.
Yeah.
You can say it. Yeah.
So, like, it just, those resources, you're in your car, put on Super Soul Sunday.
Yes. Which is, for those that don't know, that's Oprah's, from Oprah's own network.
Absolutely. So that's definitely something that's helped me out.
Okay. So what makes you dope?
Oh, I'm dope.
Yes, you are. I mean, look at her.
Yes.
No, so I just think that I'm a really cool person. Like, if I didn't know me, I would be like, I want to be friends with
Yes. You
Like,
need to get to know her.
Like, I'm myself. Like, I'm not the girliest girl. I like to rap. I like sports. Like, I just like being different.
Yeah.
And I like accepting myself more.
Right.
The older I get, I'm like, girl, you are who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Right.
You know?
I love that. We ask you what makes you dope. We ask therapists what makes them dope therapists. And I think that's such a cool question, because sometimes we forget to love on ourselves. We're
Right.
just so awesome about ourselves.
Right.
So,
Right?
Wow.
we have to talk about why we dope again.
We trail.
Yes. I don't think we ever asked this
Exactly,
question.
exactly.
Yes.
That's a great question.
No, yeah.
I like it.
So why do you think therapy is dope?
Listen. If I wasn't in therapy, shout out to my therapist. You know who you are. Thank you, because you have been helping me.
That's so rewarding too, as a therapist.
my
I'll just say,
God.
like, that's so affirming. Like,
Yeah, I hope she watches this, because she's really been just great, giving me tools and resources that I can apply to real life.
I love that.
And I feel like she understands me. Like, she's relating to me, and I'm just not feeling blamed or judged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just important to have somebody to talk to, and that they can give you tangible resources, right? Because I've been able to use that in moments where I'm heated and it could go a whole nother direction.
You gotta remember what she said.
I'm like, you know what? I'm paid out of pocket for this.
Let me use some of these.
Use these tools.
That makes sense. So how are you working to change the mental health game for minority communities?
Mental wellness walks, having the conversation.
Yes.
us feeling more like community instead of isolated, because we isolate ourselves. You know, a lot of times we're overlooked because we overlook ourselves first. So we have to connect and just have honest conversations. Take advantage of events that you feel like, oh, these are like-minded people, positive energy. Let me attend. You know, let me support this person's business. Encouraging. If you think about your friend that, you know, she comes to mind, call her. She may need a phone call. Anybody that comes to mind, just take the time to check in with them.
Right.
You know, and just being honest with my struggle of depression and not feeling worthy at times and adversity. I think that allows people to say, wow, okay,
yes,
I can be myself and be honest about these things I go through.
Right.
Especially, again, I think when people, when they only see one version of you, like, so someone might come across your social media and be like, oh my goodness, like, she's got it all together, she's gorgeous, she's in Paris, she's, you know, like, she's leading, and then to be able to still say, and I'm going to therapy, and I struggle with depression, and I have insecurities. It's like, these are the conversations that we need to have.
Absolutely. And support each other, love on each other more.
Right.
You know, you're not my competition. Like, we could do this together.
Exactly.
I need y'all.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
How do we support each other? How do we build each other up while we're building ourselves up as well?
That's that abundance mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Breaking all chains of lack.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Yes. And so this weekend, remember,
mental wellness. So we're gonna have our mental wellness walk. Ebony is gonna be our guest.
Yes.
Giving us life skills, life tools towards mental wellness. Herman Park, 8 a.m. We're going to meet at Lot C, which is between Herman and Crawford. So make sure you're there 8 a.m. We pretty much start on time. We do an affirmation stretch in the morning. We say a few words, and then we go on our journey. It's about a 2.5 mile walk. We come back, and we'll have a special activity this time. You know, it's a special event. So make sure you guys are there. You don't have to RSVP. Just show up on time. Trader Joe's is actually donating water and breakfast bars.
Nice.
I'm excited.
Nice.
Awesome.
And it's a beautiful park. It's so funny because I've been to the park so many times, but I never did the walk.
Oh, you never
there.
walked it?
Yeah. I was
beautiful.
Like, this is gorgeous. I'm like, I've never done the whole walk. You know, you just go, come back. But it's a beautiful
It's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's giving me a lot of grounding, clarity.
Awesome.
Love it.
So how do they follow you on social media?
Absolutely. Make sure you check out Instagram QueenLYFE1, Facebook QueenLYFE Inc., and go to our website QueenLYFE.org, and let's stay connected. Subscribe. You'll get on our mailing list so you find out about any function that we have going on, and join the membership.
Yes.
Join the membership.
Yes, I'm still supposed to, I was thinking, I was like, oh man.
Membership is easy. It's just allowing you to have touch points. We have members events that are exclusive. It's $100 for the year for right now.
All right. Get in while you can.
Get in while the stock is low.
Right. Exactly.
So we're looking to evolve. I would love to see QueenLYFE in Denver. That's my hometown. I used to live in Las Vegas. Would love to do a chapter there. DC, one of my favorite cities. So you're growing this movement now by becoming a member.
We need to get on the road with you. I'm like, let's go to Denver. Yes, let's go to Vegas.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
There's nothing stopping us but us.
Exactly. That sounds
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yes.
We are so excited to have Candace here. This is such a good episode.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. We appreciate you coming. Yeah. So y'all make sure y'all follow Melanin and Mental Health across social media at Melanin and Mental Health, on Twitter at Melanin Health, and go to melaninandmentalhealth.com for the merchandise, to sign up for the directory.
If you're a therapist,
if you are a therapist, make sure you sign up for the directory.
Especially the male therapists.
Yes.
We are putting out a special request. We get requests regularly from people DMing us, inboxing us, wanting to know where the male clinicians are at. And so let them know where you're at. Let them know how they can get connected to you. There's so many people, like I said, a week does not go by without us getting regular inquiries.
Right. And check out the Queer Center shirts that we have at melaninandmentalhealth.com/shop or shop. Melaninandmentalhealth.com. Quick shop. We have our Core Center shirts for the rest of the month, and you can get a discount with the word Pride, all capital letters. And make sure we'll have the link in the comments of this, and as well as the podcast when I post it on Monday to go to attend the webinar.
Yes.
So I think that's all we got.
For now.
For now.
Yes.
We will see y'all next week.
All right.